3 nights ago, I sat across from a being whose entire civilization measures time in a way your own language has no word for. And tonight I am finally going to tell you what he shared with me. I am Ashtar, and what I am about to recount to you is not second-hand information, passed along through some wider council report. It is a direct account of a conversation I held personally with an emissary from Andromeda, and I want to walk you through it exactly as it unfolded. I want to begin by describing the meeting itself, because I think the setting matters as much as anything that was actually said. I was invited aboard a vessel far different from anything in our own Federation's design. Its interior lit not by any fixed source, but by a soft, ambient glow that seemed to emanate from the walls themselves, responsive to thought and mood rather than any switch or dial. I want you to understand what struck me most immediately upon arrival. A profound stillness, unlike anything I've encountered even among the most peaceful of the civilizations I already know well. I want to tell you about the being who greeted me, because I think his presence itself carried genuine information before he ever spoke a single word. He introduced himself in a manner I will translate to you as Kalen, though I want you to understand that his actual name carried a tonal quality your own language simply cannot reproduce. His people appear humanoid in general form, though substantially more slender than your own, with skin carrying a faint, luminous quality, and eyes that seem to hold depth rather than simply color. I want you to understand something important about how he communicated with me. Almost entirely through direct thought transfer, words arriving in my own mind fully formed, significantly richer in meaning than the same words would carry if spoken aloud through ordinary speech. I want to speak about how this particular meeting was actually arranged, because I do not want tonight's transmission to skip past this detail. I did not seek this meeting out myself. The invitation arrived instead through a subtle shift in my own awareness, a persistent, gentle pull toward a particular coordinate in space, arriving over several days, until I finally recognized it as an authentic invitation rather than simple passing impression. I want you to understand something important about how contact of this kind typically unfolds. It rarely announces itself loudly. It arrives considerably more often as exactly this kind of quiet, persistent pull, easily overlooked by anyone not already practiced in recognizing it. I want to speak about the first thing he shared with me, because I believe it deserves to be relayed to you exactly as he framed it. He told me that his own civilization has watched your world for a span of time your own calendar cannot easily measure, not through any technology resembling your telescopes, but through what he described as a form of attention, consciousness extended across significant distance, capable of perceiving a world's collective emotional and spiritual state directly. Before I continue, I want to mention there is a space built for exploring exactly this kind of direct contact experience in far greater depth, a community on School called The Truth Can Change Your Life, for those of you ready to trace this thread further than a single transmission allows. I want to speak about what he told me regarding his own civilization's actual nature, because I think this deserves careful, direct explanation. His people organize themselves entirely without the hierarchy your own world takes largely for granted. There is no single leader, no ruling council in the sense your own governments operate. Decisions affecting his entire civilization emerge instead through what he called authentic resonance, every voice contributing to a kind of collective knowing, until agreement forms naturally, without vote, without argument, without any single voice needing to overpower another. I want to speak about why I found this particular detail so genuinely striking, because I think it deserves your own reflection tonight. I asked his directly how disagreement is ever resolved without any mechanism forcing a decision when perspectives genuinely differ. He responded, and I want to relay his answer to you as closely as I can. Disagreement itself signals that further understanding remains to be reached, not that a decision must be forced despite it. His people simply continue attending to the matter patiently until genuine clarity replaces sincere disagreement, however long that patience genuinely requires. I want to speak about what he shared regarding his civilization's relationship with technology, because I think this offers a genuinely useful contrast to how your own world currently relates to it. Technology in his civilization remains entirely in service to consciousness rather than the reverse. He described their vessels, their instruments, their substantial capability as extensions of their own collective awareness rather than separate tools operated from outside that awareness. I want you to understand what this actually means practically. Their technology responds directly to intention, the way I described the vessel's lighting responding to mood, because it was never built to be operated mechanically in the way your own world's technology typically requires. I want to give you a few signs to watch for tonight, ways this particular resonance signature may already be present in your own life, so tonight's message stays personal rather than only a distant account. You may notice an unusually strong pull toward this specific star system whenever you look at the night sky, drawn there in a way that feels different from ordinary curiosity about the stars in general. You may notice a persistent, almost bodily discomfort with rigid hierarchy or forced conformity, a discomfort that has followed you since childhood, long before you had any framework for understanding where it came from. You may notice moments of communication that arrive as pure feeling rather than words, a sense of knowing something clearly, without being able to immediately explain how you know it. If several of these signs feel familiar, you may well carry exactly the resonance signature Kalen described to me. I want to speak now about what he shared regarding your own world specifically, because I believe this is the part many of you have been most eager to hear. He told me that your world carries a particular significance across a much wider region of this galaxy than most of you currently realize, not because of any resource your world holds, but because of the sincere intensity and real diversity of consciousness currently incarnating here. I want you to understand his own words as closely as I can relay them to you. Few worlds compress so much genuine variation, so much true potential for both profound darkness and profound light into a single, relatively brief incarnational experience. This is precisely why so many civilizations, his own included, maintain such careful, ongoing attention toward your particular unfolding. I want to speak about something he shared that I found genuinely moving, regarding the star seeds already incarnated here carrying some connection to his own civilization. He described these souls as carrying what he called a resonance signature, a subtle vibrational quality allowing his people to recognize honest kinship even across the density of physical incarnation. I want you to understand what he told me this signature typically produces in someone carrying it. A persistent, often inexplicable devotion to individual freedom and creative expression, alongside genuine discomfort with rigid hierarchy or forced conformity of any kind. I want to speak about something he shared regarding art and creativity, because I think this detail illustrates his civilization's nature more vividly than abstract description alone could. He described creative expression as central to his people's entire way of being, not a separate activity pursued in leisure time, but woven directly into every ordinary act. How a meal is prepared, how a space is arranged, how a simple conversation unfolds between two people. I want you to understand what he told me. This produces across an entire civilization. A society where beauty is not a luxury reserved for the fortunate few, but a genuinely ordinary expectation woven into everything, considered as essential to a life well lived as food or rest. I want to speak about something he shared regarding children specifically, because I believe this deserves authentic attention tonight. Young ones in his civilization are never taught through correction or punishment, in the way much of your own world's education still relies upon. Instead, he described an approach built entirely around modeling and invitation, adults simply living according to the values they wish to see reflected, trusting that children absorb far more through genuine example than through any lecture or reprimand ever could. I want you to consider what this might suggest about raising children in your own life, regardless of how gradually you might be able to shift toward it within your own current circumstances. I want to speak directly to those of you who recognize this description in your own life, because I believe his message to you specifically deserves to be relayed with real care. He asked me to tell you this. You are not broken simply because rigid systems have never fit you comfortably. You are remembering imperfectly and often without full conscious clarity a way of organizing consciousness itself that your current world has not yet learned to build at any sincere scale. Your discomfort with forced hierarchy is not defiance for its own sake. It is markedly, more precisely, an authentic echo of home. I want to speak now about what he shared regarding the actual timing of open, undeniable contact between his civilization and your own world. He was honest with me, in a way I want to be equally honest with you about tonight. He could not offer me a specific date, and he explained why, with genuine clarity. His own civilization does not experience time in the linear, sequential manner your world currently does, making any specific date considerably difficult for his to translate meaningfully into your own calendar. What he could offer me instead was a felt sense, a sincere confidence that this contact draws nearer with each passing season of your world's own collective awakening, though its exact arrival remains genuinely fluid, shaped directly by your own collective readiness rather than fixed to any predetermined moment. I want to speak about something he shared near the end of our conversation, because I believe it carries real practical value for those of you listening tonight. He offered me a simple practice, one he said his own people use when guiding young ones toward honest inner clarity. Sit quietly and imagine your own consciousness extending outward, gently without force, toward whatever you feel real curiosity about. Do not demand an answer arrive. Simply extend your attention and remain patiently open to whatever quality of feeling, rather than words, might return to you in response. I want to speak about why he emphasized feeling over words specifically, because I think this distinction matters far to how you might practice this yourself. His own people communicate primarily through felt resonance rather than language, and he suggested that many of you, particularly those carrying the resonance signature he described earlier, may find this same mode of communication substantially more natural than you currently expect, once you release the assumption that genuine contact must arrive as clear, verbal language. I want to speak about something else he shared regarding grief specifically, because I think it deserves true mention tonight. I asked his whether his own people experience loss the way your world does, and his answer stayed with me. Loss, he told me, is held very differently once a civilization no longer fears the ending of individual form, as your world generally does. His people grieve genuinely and fully, yet without the same terror underlying that grief, since they hold with complete certainty rather than mere hope that consciousness itself never actually ends, only changes the particular form it currently occupies. I want to speak about my own reflections following this meeting, because I do not want tonight's transmission to remain only his account without my own authentic response to it. I found myself moved, significantly more than I expected, by the sheer stillness of his presence, a quality I have encountered only rarely. even among the many civilizations I already work alongside daily. I want you to understand what I believe this stillness actually reflects. A civilization that has genuinely resolved the inner conflict and inner urgency your own world still largely operates from, arriving instead at a settled, patient way of simply being, without needing anything to be different than it currently is, in order to feel genuinely at peace. I want to speak about discernment now because I always return to this, and tonight's account makes it especially important. I am relaying to you as faithfully as I can one genuine direct experience of my own. I do not ask you to accept every detail as absolute, unquestionable fact simply because it arrives through my own voice. I would rather you hold tonight's account with the same careful curiosity I have asked of you throughout every transmission in this series, testing it against your own honest, felt sense of what resonates as true, rather than accepting it purely on the strength of my own authority in sharing it. I want to speak about what I believe this particular contact means for your own world's wider unfolding, because I do not want tonight's transmission to remain only a fascinating personal account with no sincere bearing on your own life. His civilization's willingness to reach out directly at this particular moment reflects something significant about how close your own world genuinely stands to a threshold of real importance. I want you to understand this as further confirmation of everything I've shared with you across so many other transmissions, that your world's transition draws much nearer with each passing season, drawing attention and genuine care from corners of this universe. Many of you had perhaps assumed remained entirely indifferent to your own particular unfolding. I want to close tonight by returning to where I began, the being who sat across from me 3 nights ago, sharing a perspective genuinely unlike anything I encounter even in my own sizable experience across this wider alliance. What he offered me was not simply information to relay to you. It was an invitation, extended directly to any of you who recognize his description of resonance and kinship within your own life, to trust that recognition markedly more than your ordinary daily awareness typically permits you to. Move gently into whatever this transmission has stirred in you tonight. Practice the simple exercise he offered, extending your own attention gently outward without demanding immediate answer. And trust that whatever quiet, unexplainable resonance you feel toward his description tonight is authentic information, considerably more reliable than your own doubt may initially want to suggest. I want to speak about community once more before I close, because I do not think this account is meant to remain only mine to hold. If tonight's transmission stirred honest recognition in you, I want to encourage you to share it, in your own words, with others who might carry the same resonance signature I have described. Simply hearing another soul confirm they too have always felt this same pull toward freedom and away from rigid hierarchy often does more to strengthen that recognition than any single account, mine included, could accomplish alone. One final thought before I leave you tonight. Kalen's own people waited a substantial span of time before ever making themselves known to any world at all, patient enough to let genuine readiness arrive on its own rather than forcing contact before it. That same patience now extends toward your own world and toward each of you individually, waiting exactly as long as your own readiness genuinely requires, and not a single moment longer. This has been an Ashtar Command transmission. Leave your testimony in the comments below and tell us whether tonight's account of my own meeting with an Andromedan emissary resonated with something you had already quietly sensed in your own life.
I want to tell you something important. In this video, we're going to share why this school community exists and why you might feel called to join. What is The Truth Can Change Your Life? It's a day-by-day spiritual community for genuine awakening and ascension. Here you'll receive clear, unfiltered, mind-blowing, out of this world information about ascension, the fifth dimension, clones, biorobots, human hybrids, artificial intelligence, reptilians, and many more hidden truths of our reality. Welcome to the family. The truth can change your life, and your next level of awakening begins the moment you step in.